Are you missing Donald Trump?
Yes. No, and look, I've actually just been trying to write a piece about, that will go next week for Biden's 100 days. And as a television journalist, every day was a 5-course blowout feast with Donald Trump. There was endless tweets. There were the briefings that would, explode. There was the name calling. There were fantastic visuals. There'd be the rallies. There'd be, and in television terms, in television news terms, could Joe Biden be more dull and boring and tedious? Actually, I think in terms of a presidency, he is really interesting. I think there are really interesting things happening in America. And I think that he is far from being this guy who is just there treading water. I think he's, whether you like him or not, whether you agree with him or disagree with him, the stimulus package, the American Rescue Program is a big deal. The infrastructure thing is a big deal. This is going back to big government in a way that we haven't seen since pre-Reagan or pre-Thatcher in the UK. So there are really interesting things happening. But Biden is also doing this whilst trying to dial down the temperature after, January the 6th.
Yeah.
And so in terms of, if you're a journalist and you need your daily heroin fix of being on the news, Joe Biden ain't great, because a lot of it is just, the smooth whirring of the machine of government is pretty dull. Whereas with Donald Trump, it was fireworks every day. Yeah. So from that point of view, it seems a much quieter, stiller place to be.
So is it quite difficult? I guess it's a challenge for you persuading people in the UK that no, Donald Trump hasn't launched a tirade against someone today, but this is actually probably more important than that. That's a challenge for you now, would you say?
Yeah, and and look, in fairness to the BBC outlets, they are taking it, but what you don't have, is the pyrotechnics. And television loves an image, or it loves a soundbite, or it loves a, and that is not rich territory for Joe Biden. I'm struck that the briefings that Jen Psaki gives now, and I've been to a number of them, they are calm, they're reasoned, they're not particularly confrontational. You don't have the person at the lectern calling us the enemy of the people, and all that heat has gone. And so the cable channels have stopped covering Jen Psaki's. And I wanted to ask her, I nearly asked her at a briefing, and something else happened that stopped me. I wanted to ask her, was she offended by this or delighted by it? I suspect she's delighted by it. I suspect that they are in the business of lowering the political temperature after the divisions of, the way the Trump era ended with the storming of the Capitol, with millions of people adoring him and millions of people loathing him.
When you were covering Trump, did you find it difficult yourself not to get sucked into the sound bites and the pyrotechnics without seeing the bigger picture?
No, I think it's easier for us to stand back a bit. We're not, and I think that some of the American media went slightly mad, and I think they were driven mad by Donald Trump and him calling journalists the enemy of the people and a bunch of liars and all that sort of stuff. And so they took up the cudgels against him. Our job is not to take up the cudgels. We're not the opposition. The Democrats are the opposition to Donald Trump. Our job is to hold power to account. And I think we should do that politely, reasonably, arch an eyebrow by all means, ask tough questions, absolutely. But we don't set as our default position to either hate Donald Trump or love Donald Trump. And I think too much of the American media decided they either hated him or loved him. And it wasn't just an emotional response to that. It was a monetary, it was a financial model that they were following, that, there are an awful lot of people who hate Donald Trump. Right, we can cash in on that by being the anti-Trump network. I just don't think that's good for, I don't think that's good for democracy, that people, go to news just to hear their views confirmed. They ought to go to news to discover, to find out, to be challenged.
Yeah. And are you speaking there just about the TV channels, or is that the written press as well?
I think I think particularly the TV channels. I think the written press in America are probably less opinionated than they are in the UK. I mean, you know, the New York Post is much more opinionated, and New York Daily News is much more opinionated in the way that the Sun and the Mirror are. But I think that, but it was generally the TV media and the radio stations, which are kind of poisonous. A lot of them, poisonous in all directions. But you know, the fact of the matter is that on January the 6th, there were millions of Americans who believed fervently that the election had been stolen from Donald Trump. And I just ask anyone to provide me with the evidence of that, because the elections were challenged 62 times in the court and the cases were thrown out. A lot of the time, the fraud that Donald Trump alleged in person was not alleged by the legal counsel acting for Donald Trump. The secretaries of state in each of the states certified the results as fair. The Attorney General said there was no fraud that would have changed the outcome of the election. The head person who was in charge of the election security said it had been the safest election. Yeah, just show me someone somewhere who has got evidence of fraud, and it hasn't been forthcoming. And so the idea that there are millions who then, you know, it's only Donald Trump who cannot accept to say the words "I lost," that took America to the brink.